shares of Mattel are down this morning on the news that MGA Entertainment, which is a private company, MGA has toys that are really aimed at much younger kids. Their best-known brand is probably the Bratz dolls. MGA Entertainment has tried in the past to acquire Mattel. This is their second attempt, and they've basically given up. So the news is MGA is basically moving on from this second attempt to acquire Mattel. And shares of, as they have been wont to do, on many occasions over the last few years, shares of Mattel are down.
Yeah, and MGA pointed out in at least in an article where there's some quotes published by TheStreet.com that Mattel's got $4 billion in debt, and there's a major legal liability related to the Fisher-Price Rock and Play sleeper, and that there's just too much mess to clean up there, which sounds kind of like, I don't know, a jilted pursuer. It's like, didn't want her anyway. She's got all these problems, after being rejected twice. I think that now MGA is noting all the reasons why they wouldn't have wanted Mattel anyway.
That's entirely possible. I just look at, we don't know MGA's financials because they're a private company. I just look at Mattel over the last few years, and that is a stock chart that is just down, steadily down and to the right. I mean, it is a quarter of the size it was 5 years ago. And so I get that, that this didn't work out, but I don't know how much longer Mattel can keep going like this.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the camp of those that assume that sooner or later Hasbro will acquire Mattel, just because it's got some great brands. After all the mistakes that it's made, still it's got a number of enduring brands that if you can just put it in the hands of some good management, which Hasbro certainly has, might revive this company. But in the meantime, I think Mattel is continuing to give the Heisman to suitors, and it's as you say, down and to the right is the pattern for the stock chart.
I think Hasbro is probably the safe bet in terms of, if we know for certain that in the next 2 years Company X buys Mattel, I think Hasbro is probably the safe bet. It actually wouldn't surprise me if it was a company like Walmart. Because when you look at the way Walmart has incorporated the acquisitions it's made in terms of different brands, as you say, Mattel has some brand equity there, and in the hands of the right management. And certainly with Walmart, they've got as good a distribution network as you're going to see. I think that's certainly I would put them on the short list as well.
Yeah, I mean, to give some numbers around Mattel and where it's gone as a stock, it's about at the same price it was in 1992, which, again, for those out there having trouble with math, was 27 years ago, just to help you out.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. So,
I always appreciate help with math.
And they've got problems. They've got a future given all these brands, things that are, and go back to let's see, about 1990. It was much higher in 1999 when Toy Story came out, the original one,
right,
which featured a lot of great Mattel some great work by a lot of Mattel's characters.
Fantastic. Yes. Toy Story 4 opening this weekend. I can't say I'm going to be going opening weekend, also because my kids are older, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, yeah, no, let's go see this. Maybe not opening weekend, because I think right now Toy Story 4, for any Disney shareholders who got slightly nervous at the train wreck of an opening that Dark Phoenix had, fear not, because here comes Toy Story 4, which is projected to do at least, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million at the box office opening weekend. they're certainly doing a lot of promotional work around it. But as you were saying earlier this morning, the voice talent that they've got, I mean, this is now a franchise that Pixar strikes me as one of those companies that if they went to anyone and just said, "Hey, would you come do 3 lines in a studio for this?" Anyone's going to say yes to this. And the voice talent that they've got for this one, I mean, it's not just sort of the usual suspects with, Tom Hanks and and company, but Jordan Peele, Keegan-Michael Key, Christina Hendricks. You were telling me I was unaware of the fact that they've got. Talk about the Wayback Machine. They've got Carl Reiner and Carol Burnett and Betty White.
And Mel Brooks. It's really, they are locking up like, the Mount Rushmore of great comedians, which would include for many Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner and Carol Burnett and, Betty White has had a hell of a second, third, and fourth act for her career in the last 10 years, although great for decades before that as well. And I think that expands the audience quite a bit, even if they are all just showing up for a couple of lines. Boy, the talk shows will eat up any appearance to promote this that Betty White or Mel Brooks might show up for.
What did they do for? I'm asking you like I'm expecting you to have the answer, and I don't expect you to have the answer. But
this is a first. I just didn't know this was ever going to happen for me on this show.
I'll ask anyway. Do you know what they did in terms of replacing Don Rickles? Mr. Warmth.
I do. I do know what they've done. They are using archived audio.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Because, I mean, Don Rickles, that's a really tough voice to replace.
That is very tough to replace. And I take this from the Wikipedia page, which has got this great chart of all the different people that have done the voices for everybody over all the years, and there are all these sort of additional non-theater released parts of Toy Story shorts and sort of pieces that were maybe a holiday special or something, so that you can see who did the voices for those, because it wasn't the big stars, but it's remarkable, the depth here, and it'll be nice to get a last little bit from Don Rickles.
You know what? Now I'm seriously considering going opening weekend, in part because I'm looking forward to Key and Peele as sort of the plushie toys, and then Keanu Reeves to go back to Canada, hopefully to make up in some small way for yesterday's mistake with the Canada story being 2 years old. Keanu Reeves voices a character named Duke Kaboom, who is Canada's greatest stuntman. That alone is what the price has me thinking about plunking down whatever a movie costs these days. I think it's $58 for a single ticket. But
yeah, but you can expense that because it's research.
Little thing we like to call research.
Yeah, God, you got a budget for that,
right? I knew I had you in here for a reason.